Welcome back to the Old Doctor Who Show, episode number 152, Battle of Giants Causeway.
Wait, Battle of Giants Causeway? That doesn't sound like a TV story that I've heard before.
No, we've broken the mold.
Oh my goodness, it's a special episode.
We've made the leap from visual medium to auditory medium. Audio. We've gone from video to audio, Dan. This is our first time ever tackling
each other.
Finish. The piggyback party went out of control. We put our headphones on. We snuggled up on the couch of your heart, and we listened to the Battle of Giants Causeway together, but apart. We have our rule where we can't look at each other while we listen.
No eye contact allowed.
Dan, yeah, I'm excited. This is I have listened to Big Finish stories before. This is your first time?
Second. I have listened to one before. Yeah,
that's cool. It's we'll get to it when we get to the review. I have some things to talk about before the review.
Well, let's do that because it's before the review.
So, you had asked me about whether or not I thought that Ruby, the character of Ruby. Now, I should say, we're going to start talking about theories. If you haven't listened to or watched Who is Mrs. Flood or its follow-up, Mrs. Flood and the Corrupted Timeline, I go into much more detail about theories that we have about essentially Mrs. Flood is the Doctor and Ruby's mother, but ultimately that Ruby and the Doctor are both timeless children, right? And they're brother and sister. That's sort of the gist of the theory. Now, you asked me last time we talked.
Well, I'm sorry. It's amazing how quickly you got through that theory when we have the clip. It's like about 15 minutes long.
It's like 18 hours. It's like 4 parts.
Yeah, you did a really good job. Okay, anyway.
You had asked me last time a very specific question. You said, Eric, do you think Ruby is only around in this sort of fragmented, corrupted timeline universe? And I said, no, I think that she's going to be a part of it.
Had all of this not happened, did Ruby still exist, or is she a result of the Doctor choosing that face and the bubble? Yeah.
If you are someone that doesn't like news, casting news, just jump ahead to our review.
Avoid all that
Giants
stuff.
Causeway, because today I read she's out. So the actress, what's her name? I want to get it right. Millie Gibson is out of the show. So she's only doing one season. And then she's being replaced by Virata Sethu. I hope I'm getting your last name correct. I know you from my favorite Star Wars show, Andor. She was a character on Andor, but she is going to be the new companion.
Wow.
Which is not abnormal. I mean,
one season
Martha
companions happens.
One season companion. Technically, Donna was one season plus, some extra stuff. So it's not like, it's probably, is it part of the story? Is it not part of the story? Is it something else? Who knows? But Dan, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's a situation where you can only have one timeless child per universe. And now we have two. And so either when that universe collapses on itself, she's goes away. The whole universe.
And what about the other
universe? Or is it going to be like a situation where he leaves, she stays, we don't go to that universe anymore, so she'll be on that universe.
Right.
There's a, without spoiling another show, that happened in another show with a supernatural twist where a young person was a vampire killer and there could only be one at a time, and it was that kind of thing. But then you get a situation where there were two at a time.
Wait, what show are you talking about? That doesn't ring a bell at all.
It doesn't ring a bell.
You really encoded that one so no one could figure it out.
You got to really do your homework to figure out what I'm talking about. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe we will resolve this whole, assuming I'm right, but that we will resolve this whole corrupted timeline at the end of this first season.
Yeah,
I thought it would have went longer, but who knows? Throw that
What
out there.
about the David Tennant Doctor? Would all
He
of
will
that
also
be
cease
part
to
of that
exist.
universe that gets resolved?
I
Yeah.
think he'll be. I think he'll be part of figuring out how to fix it, and then when he does, it'll be like, and that's kind of what they did with Rose, right?
I was just gonna say same thing with Rose, but I think similarly, if this is all true and the way that it would go, I doubt that that universe would cease to exist. It would end up being a Romana and End Space or a Rose in whatever parallel universe she's in, because we can't kill this Doctor again.
Now,
I don't think.
I don't know how you feel, but I was actually very depressed because I found, and I wasn't familiar with the actress.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was
I like her.
Great.
She's wonderful.
I don't like only having one season really with anybody, because it takes a long time in a story, especially episodic TV, to build up characters to really get in their head, and it's just
and for the actors to
chemistry. So
it is that
I don't like
both
that.
directions. It's the actors getting used to the character and the writers getting used to the actor, so that they can converge and create like the thing that it ultimately would be, where if either of those pieces would have changed, it could be a totally different kind of take on that thing. So I agree. You definitely want a bit more to learn about the character and let it grow and really flesh out. But then there are cases like Martha, who had one season but then did come back for cameos or specials.
I mentioned this before. Like Martha should have had more seasons. Like we should have developed Martha more. But that's neither.
But on the strength of the actress, you really did, and the writing, you did get a very well-rounded character. Sure. Is what I was going to say. So I would expect the same from this actress, who is fantastic. Absolutely love her.
Yeah, I thought she was great. So I was
interesting.
Maybe I was wrong in thinking that is the case, but it does still fit into the craziness of this corrupted timeline. And the new actress I said was from Andor. I love Andor. I can't wait for the next season of Andor. She's a good actress, so it's nothing against her, but I want
sure
liked another
time
season, two or three seasons. It's fine. Dan, do you have anything else? Should we jump into the?
I think we should hit this.
Shake the crime stick, as we do. Push the button. We used to push the button. Now we shake the crime stick.
Shake the crime stick.
We have gone a long way back. Earth. Ireland, to be exact.
This is the Giant's Causeway.
We can't do anything. The TARDIS is dead.
Doctor, these stone shapes, they're all
hexagons. Layers and layers of hexagons in columns that are humming.
This is Battle of Giants Causeway. Perhaps you've heard of it.
I have heard of it. I've heard it.
This is part one of the famous Sontarans versus Rutans war that I know you've been writing about in your little diary.
My nightly diary.
We're going to see the war. Well, we're going to see it now, Dan. This is part one.
Part of it, anyway.
Part one of 4 or 5. I'm not sure. Audio Adventures. It's written by Lizzie Hopley, published by Big Finish in 2024. I said this was number 1, lucky number 1. It stars Paul McGann, who you and I know from Whitnell and I. You've got that back tattoo. India Fisher.
That's how we know him.
India Fisher and a certain fella named Conrad Westmith, which perhaps we're familiar with. The TARDIS is pulled into ancient Ireland, Dan, by a temporal wave. You know, you've read
temporal tidal wave.
Ridden some of those before. When the TARDIS lands, it loses all power, forcing the Doctor and his companions, Charlie and Cariz. That's what the kids say.
They don't quite say it like that, but okay.
Yeah, you've got the Cariz. Is that right? I'm not sure. I'm just an old guy yelling about...
That's right. You are an old guy yelling about woke.
Yeah, yelling about woke. By the way, if I'm throwing these things out, a lot of people, I guess, can't read sarcasm. Perhaps
it's true.
Just, whatever.
That's a problem with the internet in general.
Yeah. Yes. What they discover on the Giant's Causeway are death druids and Sontarans who dress like Romans, but when it's bath time, it's pure Sontaran action to the max, Jack. It all culminates into a big battle that would make for great gatefold album art. Dan, what did you think? The Battle of Giant's Causeway.
The fact that you went for gatefold cover art is really... Old guy yells at clouds. Okay. It was.
I don't know why people yell at me for being an old guy when I'm making Led Zeppelin album cover references. In my
Very
defense, I
current.
wasn't even born at the time that came out. But yes,
That's true.
Dan, what did you think of this story?
Well, let me talk about the story itself. We can get into.
Okay.
I want to start with at the base level of what are we doing here? We're listening to the audio story. Like I said, this is only my second time listening to a Big Finish story. It was very cool to hear Paul McGann, to hear the Eighth Doctor, someone that we've spent almost no time with, other than
we did the movie.
The movie, and then there was the short.
Yeah, which we didn't review, but we both saw.
But we both saw that. So that's pretty much my only exposure to him in this universe. So that's really cool. I guess maybe, okay, about the story itself, really fun story. It's such a different experience to have to... This is such a dumb statement. It's such a weird thing to have to imagine everything, because for Doctor Who, I tend to get very into the production design, choices in the cinematography, the things like that. A lot of that is obviously missing, because I don't know if you know this, but with audio, there's no pictures that come along with it, and you have to make them
hand puppets. That's how I
Yes.
I usually roll.
Yeah.
Or I draw.
I draw
the pictures in my little
as it
notebook,
goes,
and then the camera comes over, and they're like, "Why does he keep drawing this thing?" And then that's the thing that kills my mom, right? Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up with The Ring and every other horror movie from 2004. There's always this strange, quiet kid who's getting bullied. Look at the pictures he's drawing. It's the symbol from the
That was the New Who episode where the little girl was drawing things and they were coming to life and terrorizing. So that fits. It's great. So it was just a different experience to have to put all that together. But super fun. The quality of this recording is fantastic. Probably almost as good as our audio quality on this YouTube that you're listening to right now. The story was really fun. I love hearing the Sontarans. There's a lot of choices I feel that have come in later series of New Who that they bring into this, always misgendering women as boy, like that sort of thing. That humor just carries over through all of it. Is really fun. It is weird. It is harder for me to jump into a story like this when Doctor Who stories tend to start in the middle of the action, and you are a little on purpose disoriented a little bit, what's happening, who are these people, what are they talking about, and then eventually the Doctor shows up and the story begins. You put all the pieces together. When I don't have people to latch onto with faces, I have to try to figure out with the audio cues, and it's a harder experience for me. What I'm trying to say is I don't have a great imagination, and it's hard to picture everything.
A lot of trouble, man.
But all of that said, the deficiencies up here. It was a really fun story. I enjoyed. They even do the A/B plots get separated, coming back together, all the different pieces that they're putting together this puzzle. And I do love that it was kind of setting up for this larger multi-part story, so that we have all these mysteries that are kind of getting set up here. What was this time tidal wave that landed them there? How did the Rutans get there, etc. So anyway, it was fun. That was my top line confessional. Okay. Eric, what did you think about this story and the experience of listening to the Big Finish?
Well, I will say I love audio dramas. That's one of my favorite things, I guess. I do love the visuals, everything you said about, the cinematography or the costume design and the set design is all great, and I love it. And between TV and audio, I would probably prefer TV, but there's something comforting to me about audio dramas, and I love old radio shows and old mysteries and the whole theater of the mind thing. I love, and I would love to listen to more. As I said, I've listened to a lot of of these Big Finishes before, so I had sort of my expectations were already set. You mentioned not starting in the middle of action, but this starts literally
No, I said it does.
Okay.
Which I found to be even a little bit an additional layer of disorientation, because you're just trying to pick out voices and who's anyway, yes. So it does do that.
I found one thing that, from having spent 8 years with you covering classic Who,
How long? Jesus.
Something like that. Like, I was just like, you know, it follows so many of the classic Who tropes.
Yes.
Like, where something's going crazy, we're going to land on a strange planet, then one of the companions is going to get separated, they're going to meet an alien race that's good, and then the other companions are going to get caught by the bad version of that, and then they're both going to come together. So it like hits all those familiar.
Absolutely does. You're
beats.
Right.
But this is sort of questions, because if we're going to end up interviewing Conrad, the actor that plays Karis. Yes, I will mispronounce the name. There's totally something to like acting with only your voice. Like, there's no nonverbal acting other than like pauses, dramatic pauses and things like that. You can't interact with the scenery. So you have to do so much of the heavy lifting with how you're enunciating things, and the Foley sound effects are great. Like, there's the scene where they're on the mule, and then you're hearing the mule sound. So I felt like they did such a good job of painting the environments and I felt like it didn't take long for me to sort of forget that I was even listening to it and just sort of go with it. So I liked it, and I thought it had a great sense of humor.
Really funny
bits, but it
funny.
Wasn't like a joke. Like, they were able to sort of balance it. I thought the script was good. It was a ton of fun. Like, I liked it. I want to talk a bit about Paul McGann's doctor, because it's like he's very like stuffy and like almost like full of himself, but feels like he would be good at hunting vampires, like an old Hammer horror type of vibe of like he could be with Peter Cushing vampires in an old heart. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's got that like, because every doctor's sort of different, and he's like almost like you feel like he doesn't like you. Like, if I was hanging out with him, I would like, I don't know if he would like me. I don't even know if he really likes the companions the way that they're interacting. But it's not.
Did you? That's the feeling you got from? Have you listened?
Not
no. I know what you mean.
Not a negative thing, but like, I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Similarly,
it's like
the first Doctor,
uptightness.
The first Doctor was like that too. You couldn't quite not to. He had it in a different way. It was more of like an irascible sort of like, you didn't know where he was going to come from, if he was going to be like friendly and kind, or if he was just going to be completely like, I don't know, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But I know what you mean, like a little bit aloof in a way. Have you listened to a Paul McGann Big Finish before? Okay,
first time. The only ones that I've heard were like, there was like a John Pertwee one, which was part of like a overall like anthology or something that I had bought, and then mostly Colin Baker, pretty much all Colin Baker. So I'd never heard Paul McGann before, and like you said, like we only saw glimpses of him, so I don't have a strong idea of his character. Now I know these two companions and Paul McGann had done one or two or more seasons of these audio stories, so we're coming in late. We don't know. They already have established relationships.
Right.
That we just don't know. But I feel like you get a good idea of like how they interact with each other.
Totally agree.
I think they're old friends, like they've been doing this for a while, which obviously they have.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like it is easy enough to jump in and understand everyone's current relationships with each other, and it's not detrimental. But if you knew more, it would enhance it. Yeah. So we're kind of missing out a little bit, but not in a way that harms my ability to enjoy the story or understand what's going on. Really fun in that way. Completely agree with the Foley work, like the footsteps crunching on the stones as they're walking, like all that, the like electric sizzle in the air, some of the voice modifications. Well, when the Death Druid mother is kind of almost Dalek like in that voice. There's like
when you're talking about when she shows her true form, and she's
as a Rutan.
The Rutans, which we covered the Rutans before in Fang Rock, right? That was and they were like this very cool, like spectral white jellyfish, like weird looking thing. The Tom Baker, but was that the only Rutan story that we did? And maybe
as far as I can recall,
how many Rutan stories there are.
That's the only one I can recall.
I remember.
Yeah,
but they were cool. They were like a cool enemy, and I thought the story was like super dark in a great way, in the fact that they're just like like people are dying, and they're just kept like a cavern full of dead bodies.
Dead bodies.
Which was like
Yeah.
really sort of twisted. But
Yeah.
it's great. I like that. I liked all of that.
Yeah. So again, for us, like coming into this late, like not really even understanding Karras's character, like where does he come from? And you find out like, oh, he has like
He's an alien, he's a
chameleon sort of effect,
kind of thing.
which, you know, for everyone else that's like been following along with Big Finish and their previous stories, like, oh yeah, of course. But for me, it's like, oh, that's a new thing. I had no idea. And like he explains it as, you know, he's trying to automatically blend into the cavern because he's like uncomfortable being there. It's like, it was a very cool touch to like start picking up those clues for us.
Yeah, and with
or like I said, other people would know.
With Charlie too, like, because you know you're hearing her voice, and then the way that she's, you know, like, is she like a warrior? Like, I don't really know like what she is or where she came from. We know she's from Earth, right? Because you know that happened,
and it sounded
she seems like
like
a modern Earth because she's aware of history. And she had visited this place, you know, as a tourist.
It felt to me like early 1900s. I have no idea. I have not looked up the character because I want to know. I want it to be
early
revealed
1900s. Okay, I thought it would be later.
That's where I got, but I don't know why. That's where I kind of placed her.
Right.
But who knows? I could look it up on the wiki, but I did not.
We don't need to do that. I don't know.
I did look up Karras's, and the Wikipedia entry or the TARDIS.wiki entry. It was just indecipherable because there's all these different races and characters. It's like I cannot. So maybe we'll just have to do like a thumbnail sketch of Karras as well.
We'll figure that out. But what I was going to ask you is like, are they coming? I guess maybe they're going to come back because, to my understanding, the next story in this is John Pertwee, which I also don't understand. Like, is another actor playing John Pertwee? Like, I don't know. I don't know how that works.
They're using AI to reconstruct his voice.
Who knows? But it is like a different doctor for each of these parts. So I'm hoping we see this group again. Like, I imagine at the end they'll all reconnect.
Interesting.
But the next one is a John Pertwee story. And then after that...
you're spoiling everything for me.
It's on the... If you go to the...
I'm kidding.
Well, I actually didn't know... listening to it that it was part one. I just saw that this thing was coming out. I was like, you want to review it? I bought it. So when it got to the end, I was like, oh, like all of a sudden it's over. And then I realized it was, you know, part of a...
It was kind of funny at the end how, you know, it was very much
quickly.
Like,
that would be...
this is the first part. There's all these mysteries we haven't quite figured out yet. And they kind of list out these mysteries, which was like, okay, that's fine. That's just like, let's set up the breadcrumbs.
That was like my one complaint about the episode was the end. It just felt like it just wraps up real fast.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden, you know, they figure out the thing with the batteries, or like where the spawning
the
grounds
nursery
are, and
farm,
they're gonna explode it, and then all of a sudden he's, you know, and that's also where Paul McGann's doctor, they're like, oh my God, you're alive. He's like, of course I'm alive. And then they do the thing, but then he...
Oh, you heard it in that way. I didn't...
Well, yeah, kind of.
I didn't take it that way, but that's interesting.
So you're reading it like he's also surprised that he's alive.
Well, no, not at all. Not like that. Not more. I don't know what's the word. Not conceited, but more like self-assured. Like, of course, I wouldn't. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to die. Of course, I'm going to have a way around it.
Like
as opposed to like, don't be stupid. Of course,
well,
like
see,
it's
that's
just
the difference between me
slightly
and you.
different.
When people are confident, I take that as an attack on myself. Any form of anytime anyone shows
it's
any
threatening.
kind of confidence, I'm like, this is clearly aimed at me, and my lack of confidence. So screw you. No, that's fine.
Well,
I liked him.
In that scene though, when they're talking about like, oh, he survived, and the doctor explains that, you know, split second before igniting the whole thing, he took it out of phase, and that it then the TARDIS was able to like reclaim the energy. And it's so funny. Charlie is just like, if you say so.
Yeah,
like,
I like that line.
So funny.
I like that line because
so good.
She was speaking for me too, because it was like,
yes.
I didn't really. Right, and I guess this is good. This is all going to come out, right? So there's the temporal tidal wave that's pulling them in, and these batteries that are also like, you know, egg containers for they
call it a farm, but it's small. It's like a nursery,
right.
but
they're crawling out of the sea, whatever. It's helping feed these baby Rutans.
Yep.
It drains the TARDIS, but then all of a sudden the doctor is just like, I'll just reclaim all the stuff. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why
I
didn't
don't
the
know how
TARDIS
it works.
do that itself? Like, whatever. It's all fine. But I guess that was at the
Right.
battle, so they were distracted. I don't know. It was fine. That all sort of happened at the end. I would have loved to have had maybe 2 parts of this, like a 2-hour thing instead of an hour. But hey, that only means because I enjoyed it and I wish there was a
Just want more of it. Yeah, I get that too.
A little bit more at the end. But I liked it. I thought it was
yeah.
good.
I will say it is interesting. I agree with you 100%. It does feel very much like a classic Who story structure, more so than New Who, with the benefit of New Who being around an hour for each story piece, for each episode, where in classic Who is like 20 minutes or so. So you would get those rise and fall of action subsequently. And this was kind of more of a build over the course of time. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You don't have these like little moments where it's like cliffhanger to the end. It kind of can all build together. But to your point, it did come together really quickly at the end, and it would have been nice to give it
kind of had
a little more
and
space.
The fact that it is one part of a greater story, that sort of
is going to give us that. Yeah,
it'll all pay off in the end, or hopefully it will. But yes, it's like structurally, it feels very classic Who. But then it's got like the sensibilities of modern Who, especially like with how they're portraying the Sontarans, almost always for comedic effect. You know,
the one part I just laughed at this. Besides the naked Sontaran in a bath, which you referenced at the top, which is really funny,
and Paul McGann's line too, with like he was like, "Come here." It's like, I don't know, I don't think we will. He said something along those lines, which was funny.
It's really good. And y'all have listened to this. Why are you going to be listening to a review if you haven't actually listened to the story? But the fact that Sontarans all think that they're Romans, they think they're humans, they don't remember anything else, and that they're eating their food because the Roman army marches on its stomach, and you're slurping it up and spitting it out. And you just hear them doing that,
right?
That
and imagining
really, really
that
good.
Scene was great. Can't remember the Sontaran's name. I guess they all sort of die at the end. Obviously, we're spoiling all of this.
I think they do, actually.
But it's like only them.
Saludio
right?
is the one that was the main.
Just them, not because it has to do with the war. But before he died, like I was like, oh, the way he was like adapting to, he was learning from them and becoming smarter.
From Charlie specifically.
Right? And then he starts taking from the Doctor. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a Flowers for Algernon situation where the Sontaran was gonna become like incredibly smart, and then they're gonna take it all away from him. But then they killed him, supposedly.
Same thing.
But I like that idea. That whole scene was fun too, when they're having the big battle, and they're like, Charlie, and Kyrus, I'm going to keep getting it wrong. Karis. You are the 2 most influential people here. You go talk to the Sontarans, and you go talk to the Rutans. But it's like, well, Karis,
or the Celts.
Karis knew 2 people, and they're both dead. But I guess he's still the most. I guess he's the most influential, as opposed to.
I mean, he got it done. I mean, it must be something with the character. He got something with the character's past and everything. Sure.
I don't know. I don't. Do you have anything else? I feel like I covered everything so quickly.
No, I mean the biggest thing to me really is it was a fun adventure. It was funny without being silly, but also not self-serious, which is really great. It's a hard balance, I think, to have. It was really made me obviously have to pay attention to the words and the phrasing of things. So like in the beginning, the whole like deja vu stuff was really fun. So there's a lot, it was very playful in that way, which is great. Yeah. It was just a great story, great writing, terrific acting.
Great, the performances were great. Like I thought the
production was great.
Was very fun. Like he was a funny character. And I got the impression that not that he was probably maybe the comic relief part of their adventures, and then she's more
from the
like
little bit
adventure type, and then the Doctor obviously is the Doctor. I don't know if that's true.
From the bit of his background that I've read, he's had a very tragic past, so I don't know. Very interesting, but we'll find out. Definitely want to hear more from him, and maybe we can get some more information from the source.
We're hoping to do that. If you liked obviously what we're doing, but these types of stories, and you want us to do more, I would definitely do more. And if you work at Big Finish and you want to send us these stories to review, please do. We will gladly.
Also,
we both. We guys were supposed to say we were not. We both bought this, so
right.
This is unbiased. But honestly, if you send it to me, I'll still be unbiased, or I won't be. Just send me the payola.
Wink, 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 wink.
No, but I would like if you like these kind of things, like
let us know in the comments. I mean, we'd be happy to do more of these, especially while we're waiting for the next round of Shooting Gatwa's stories to come out. There's plenty of small things we're going to do throughout. So between Big Finish stories, if y'all want us to do more of these, some reaction videos to some other shorts that have been out there that we haven't actually gotten to yet.
Bring those up. The Tales that you're talking about, Tales of the TARDIS, right?
Exactly.
Which I had no idea was a thing.
Didn't know existed.
Right. So they're for anyone that doesn't know, and I'm sure
like us,
right? That like us, and I still don't really know. They're about 6 minutes each or so. Like they're these short stories that the BBC put out that feature all classic companions and stuff. So I don't know how we didn't.
I'm very much looking forward to it, just like we did with the previous short, which is linked in the playlist right here. So we have done one of the shorts.
Are you talking about the teaser for the season 15?
That's right. So a similar format. We'll watch them and react them in real time, and really just would love to see some classic content.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, because maybe it will fill in some gaps about like what happened to certain people, and I know Colin Baker is in some of them, so I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna watch and react to those, I think.
Sure, why not?
Because we have a long time before May. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. So let us know in the comments.
We'll still keep you all engaged as we go.
Yeah, like and subscribe, all that stuff. And if you're hearing this on the podcast, the regular podcast, which we're pushing these out to as well, we do this video show. So if you want to see us, you can do that.
All of the clever things that Eric inserts into our video.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you keep your hands off other people's refrigeraters?
You get all,
which is going to be a little bit harder since this was an audio one.
It's audio, so then it has to be the hand puppets.
Yeah, I'm going to get my dogs to act it out, so it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I don't know. Like again, it's always hard when you like the thing, and I really liked this story. It sounds like you like it.
Super fun.
So give us some stuff that we won't like, and
we'll get some hot takes. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Comment below. Let us know what else you'd like us to do. And until then, see you next time.
Peace out. So what did you think of the story? Let us know in the comments or write us at theOldDoctorWhoShow@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, please let others know about us. Share it on whatever is left of social media these days. If you want to support me, I've got a number of books available for purchase, including On the Island of the Mad Magician. It's available right now on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. The Wolf and the Well, the sequel to the graphic novel Goblin from Will Perkins and I, was recently announced, and it's available for pre-order today. It really does help a lot. Till next time, be good.
Where's my robot, you know?